Today, we are honored to present a very special interview with Professor Joseph Stiglitz, Nobel Prize winner in 2001 for his contributions to the theory of informational asymmetries in economics. So could you quickly, in about 2 minutes, maybe summarize the main points of your screening theory and its significance in economics?
So the basic idea is a very simple one of asymmetry information just means that some people know things that others don't. And they may not have incentives, they don't have incentives, to be fully honest. So the question is, how does the market respond, overcome, deal with this problem? The basic idea was that since the beginning of modern economics, in the Anglo-American tradition with Adam Smith, the assumption has always been that there was perfect information. Nobody really believed that. The hope was that a world with not too much imperfect information would be very similar to a world with perfect information. That was just a hope and a prayer. And what I showed, that was wrong. That introducing these information imperfections, even very small imperfections, had a profound effect on the way markets functioned.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much. Another question about your career. You've been president of the World Bank, and after you criticized it very much, so we were wondering why make you change your mind, or what do you think about the whole financial institution now?
Well, I actually criticized the IMF more than I did the World Bank. One doesn't really appreciate what is going on in these institutions until you're in the belly of the beast. We really see what is going on. And I had a distinct perspective from most other people who've been through that for two reasons. First, I came from academia, where there were more rigorous standards for thinking about problems. And secondly, I had been for 4 years in the Clinton administration as one of chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors. So what really bothered me was that many of the policies that we said were good for America were just on the opposite side of what was being pushed at the World Bank, including pushed by the U.S. representative to the world, which was U.S. Treasury. And so what I learned from being in the inside is that it wasn't the U.S. government as a whole that was doing this, it was U.S. Treasury. U.S. Treasury represents financial markets, and the interest of financial markets were triumphing over broader societal interest. America's interest, but it was even more so those in the developing countries. And so some of the arguments they would use for economic analysis I knew were wrong, and the politics, the sensitivity to, say, distribution, I thought was unconscionable.
You've been working on the Stiglitz Commission, that's what you're famous for in France, about changing the way we count the wealth of country, changing GDP, sorry about that. So how is it going now? Do you think we can change the way we evaluate the wealth of different countries? Do you think there's...
What I feel so pleased about that initiative was it really did have a big effect. Now the notion that you have to go beyond GDP is well received all over the world. The UN now is having a group working on that, the OECD, so it's become much more, you would say, mainstream. There's still lots of technical issues. How do you measure the environment? How do you really take into account changes in health? So many of the problems that we delineated in our report for future research, there still needs to be more research. So I don't think the problem has been, quote, solved, but I think there is much greater awareness that GDP is not a good measure of well-being, that there are other things that we need to look at, inequality, sustainability, quality of life. And so, yeah, I'm pleased at the initiative that Frank's got me involved in back in 2008-09.
And so for our last question, we would like to conclude on a big issue. It seems clear that in the next decade, the growth will slow and even we can face a degrowth. But is it possible for our current society to face a degrowth without just a collapse of the economy?
Well, first, I think that going forward for the next couple decades, we will have to continue to grow, and that's because we have to have resources to invest, to decarbonize our economy. It's a very big, the green transition is a very big transition and is going to require a lot of investment. There are also large fractions of the population of the world that don't have adequate health care, adequate education, and the notion of degrowthing, as it's usually presented, would leave them living mired in poverty, and I think that's unacceptable. But I'm actually very optimistic that we can increase GDP in ways that are consistent with meeting climate targets. We've had enormous progress in renewables, in EVs, beyond what anybody thought 10 years ago was possible. But over the long run, I think clearly there needs to be, and there can be, a change in what we consume, what we do. You know, what we eat, for instance. We don't have to eat foods that are as carbon intensive. It wouldn't change the quality of life. It probably would improve the quality of life, maybe even our longevity. So I'm optimistic that we can actually have increased standards of living in a decarbonized world. And so in that case, how we go back to the measurement issue, how you measure it will be difficult, but any meaningful notion of standards of living broadly shared can continue to go up even as we continue to decarbonize the world.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stiglitz. It was a pleasure to welcome you here in Reims.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.